Hey, you. Do you do comedy? Hey, on today's show, we got Markus Dietz, and we talk a little bit about traveling, what it's like in his prior experience, and, if you should travel for comedy or anything. Take a listen. Hey, Marcus.
Hi, Johnny.
You do comedy?
For some reason.
Welcome to the show, third episode. So you do comedy.
Yes.
I think you know what the show's about. You were actually a live audience member on the last show with Chris Spring.
Hell yeah.
I was like, no, you can't bring guests, but he's like, please, he's my biggest fan.
Aww.
So obviously this is about newbies who want to do comedy and give them a little taste of what's behind the scenes.
Sure.
But I also have some questions for you outside of that.
Okay.
Because you used to manage bands and go on tours.
Yes.
What was that like, real quick?
It was cool. I mean, it was like, have you ever babysat like a really shitty 10-year-old?
Yes, I have actually.
Yeah. So it's like babysitting 4 of those.
Okay. So did you leave that to do comedy?
I didn't like initially quit doing that just for comedy. I was just burnt out. I did it for like 10 years.
That's pretty cool. Warped Tours?
Yeah, I did Warped Tour. And
so you just left the sex, drugs, and rock and roll life behind?
Yeah, I was just like, you know what? This
Enough
kind of...
sex?
Yeah, I was like, I got the herpes. I'll be all right.
That's good. Something to remember those days.
Yeah, so I did 10 years of that, and I was just kind of burnt out on it. Okay. And, like, I was kind of sick of, like, putting in so much money into something because you believe in these bands and you're like...
Oh, so you were funding it on top of it.
I
You were
ran,
just managing.
I
you
ran
were
a record label. I ran an independent record label called Long Road Home Records.
I like that.
And I signed like metal hardcore and like metalcore and like pop punk bands and stuff. And at that time, it was kind of like right after when those things were popular.
I think they're still popular. I mean, I still go to emo nights with my pop punk music.
Word.
So,
but it was kind of hard to... Oh. Sorry, I didn't know what you were doing. I was like,
that's cool.
But there was a time period when it just wasn't profitable. Okay. And I was like putting like every penny I was making into it and like borrowing money and like...
And there wasn't a return of investment.
And there was just like no return on an investment, and I was just like bummed out about it. Because, I mean, I wasn't doing it for the money, but it was just like I was sick of hearing people that like knew me were like, when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to stop following this dumb dream? When are you gonna get your shit together? I mean, that kind of stuff. And I'll talk about that later with comedy because I hear the same shit.
Yes, but at some like... It's a very open-ended question.
Yeah.
A double-sided blade.
Yeah.
If you will. Because, yes, at some point you should probably like maybe get a real job and do this as a hobby.
Sure.
But then again, if you give up on yourself, you'll never know how far you can go.
Exactly.
And you might be headlining, the next comedy festival, wherever, Netflix special, big time, and your friends are like, why doesn't he invite us?
Yeah.
And then you gotta be like, remember that time you told me to stop it?
Yeah, I remember.
That's why, you little piece of shit. I pay my $7.99.
Thank you. Remember when you told me that I was never gonna make it, and you couldn't give me $3 for a cheeseburger? This is why you're not coming along.
Nope.
So I was kind of like burnt out on it, and I needed a break, so I took kind of a break.
All right, and then so you took a break from that, and what made you jump into comedy?
So I got kicked out of my mom's house. And I was kind of like looking for somewhere to stay, and my aunt offered for me to live in her shed in her backyard.
Okay.
So it was like summertime, and it was like 115 degrees. And then in the shed, it was like 130 degrees. So it was like really hot.
Have you ever done jokes about this?
No.
You should. Like, I'm listening like...
So
you put you in a sweat box, basically.
Yeah, so I'm living in the sweat box, and the only way I go into the house is if I need to use a restroom or I need to get something to eat.
You should definitely do this on stage.
So, I was in the house, and then however, like I had like 5 or 6 minutes in the house. It wasn't like a you're not welcome kind of thing. It was just like you live in the backyard, please stay in the backyard kind of thing.
Gotcha. You're not welcome, but you're not unwelcome.
Yeah, you're not unwelcome. So I had very limited time in the house, but the time I had in my house, I would try to make my aunt laugh. And she would like laugh at like the dumbest shit I would do or say. And she asked me, she's like, have you ever thought about doing comedy? And I was like, no. No, I don't.
So
I don't think about that at all.
So she loved you enough to give you advice on career, but not
Yes.
to be in the house.
Yeah. So she was like, yeah, you're funny. You should do comedy. And I was like, no, I'll probably never do it.
And look at you now. You're doing comedy.
And then she talked me into doing it. And the first night I did comedy, it was at the Dive Bar. And
Popular place. Shout out to Randall.
yeah.
I didn't give him a shout out on the last episode. We talked about that.
Yeah, so it was my aunt and her boyfriend at the time, and then my little brother's husband, because my little brother wasn't old enough to go to Dive Bar. But I went, and it was like November 10th of 2016. It was like right after the election.
Okay. How did that go?
And I Facebook Lived it.
Well, your first time.
My first set. Facebook
You were that
Lived
confident
it.
in yourself.
And I had like 4 people there to watch me do comedy.
Okay.
And I ended my set with what is technically like a rape joke.
How is it technically? Is it statutory rape?
So do you want to hear the joke?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Exclusive on my podcast only.
Yeah.
You can't do it on your podcast. I'm sorry.
That's fine. So my first, my closer for my first set was, because it was 2016 and the election was going on. There was a lot of stuff with the rebel flag, and there was Kris Jenner and fucking Bill Cosby were all in the news at about the same time.
I forgot how long ago that was.
Yeah. So I made the joke. I said, what did Bill Cosby, or what did Caitlyn Jenner say to Bill Cosby when Bill Cosby realized Caitlyn was wearing rebel flag underwear? Nothing. The pills already kicked in.
That was pretty good, because I'm thinking, like, what did she say?
So I ended that set. I got a couple of laughs or whatever. And then Alex was the host at the time. And he goes, hey, give it up for Marcus and his rape joke. And I was like, oh, I didn't really
We never
think of
got
it
to that
like
part.
that.
You know, he maybe just tucked her in.
Yeah. So that was a fun experience.
So you got into comedy because your aunt suggested it.
Sure. I mean, there was other reasons.
Well, that's what I want to know. Like, what was the other? She suggested it, but you said probably never. So what changed your mind?
Realizing that I've always like enjoyed making people laugh.
Okay.
Like I always enjoyed making people laugh. I never thought I was like good enough at it. I never saw it as something that I could like pursue as a career.
Okay, but now you are.
But now I am.
Okay, so. All right, because obviously this is for newbies out there who's thinking, I want to be a comedian.
Don't do it.
Yeah, why does everyone say that?
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
It's a lot of work. Anything that you are, I mean, basically we're our own bosses here. Yeah. We are the product, and we're pushing it, and we got to refine it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work. It's not, I think I'm funny. I'm going to go on stage. I made one person laugh.
It's a lot more than that. It's so much more.
So you started out with, I don't think I'm that good.
Right.
And now you're actually going to go, you're going to do a tour. You're going to do 100 days, 100
Yeah, I'm going to do
shows?
100 shows in 100 days.
Is that a continuous 100 days, like one show tomorrow, or like just 100 days, 100 shows?
No, I'm going to try to do 100 shows in a row, like 100 days.
So every night another show?
Yeah, no breaks.
Damn, dude.
I'm gonna try to do like 2 or 3 in a couple of nights. You know, like I'm gonna try to do like a Friday hit 2 shows, 3 shows. Okay.
Right.
But my minimum I want to do is 100 shows in 100 days.
Yeah, I mean definitely if you can do 3 in one day,
yeah,
you can take an extra day to drive or sleep or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so this show is for anyone who's thinking of doing a comedian. Yeah. Besides, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Besides that, you're about to go on this tour.
Yeah.
One, that's not something I experienced yet. I've been on little road trips for one show and back. Yeah. Have you done a tour before?
No.
Okay.
Not in comedy.
Okay, so what is your I don't want to like get in your head.
Okay.
But do you have any fears about doing this?
Sure.
What do you have?
I mean, there's always like bad things that can happen, like promoters don't pay you, or pop tires or whatever. There's always those types of things that can happen.
But what about as far as? again, I don't want to get in your head. I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to jinx you or anything like that.
Okay.
But it's obviously in my head. I've thought about it, and I'm sure anybody who's thinking about this is going to think about one day going on a show.
Yeah.
About you personally, your sets. Like if you don't do good,
Oh
one night,
no,
are you gonna call it quits?
No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not worried about the comedy itself.
Okay, so you're confident in your abilities.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I think if anything's gonna go wrong, it's definitely not gonna be the comedy itself.
Okay.
I think everything else will go wrong first.
All right, cool. That's a good confidence to have. You don't want to go on shows thinking like,
Right.
I hope I do good.
See, I wouldn't have done this 2 or 3 years ago. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like I was ready to do something like this, but then I hit like a certain point, and I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I'm funny.
It's time. I'm good.
Yeah. I was like, I'm good enough. I know what I'm doing. I've done it enough.
I am definitely not at that stage yet. I got a lot of refinements to go.
It just takes time.
Everything takes time. That's well said. Like, don't go into your first mic, Facebook Live, and think you're going to blow up and be the next Kevin Hart.
No, never.
But 3 years later, here you are doing your tour.
Right.
100 shows
in
100 days. You're going solo?
Yes, by myself.
Wow.
Yes.
This is a big move.
Word. Well, I saw some other people do it, and I mean, you know, like Ralph Totella kind of shouts to Ralph. Ralph was like, hey, I'm just going to go do it, and he just did it. So I was like, well...
But he didn't do 100 shows 100 days.
No, he didn't.
This is the part that's like...
And he did it... Well, that's the difference between me and Ralph, is like Ralph is confident in his just being able to talk to people.
He does that very well.
To be able to just show up to a place and be like, hey, let me on your comedy show. Like, I'm already... Like, I was being an audience member for Chris's portion of this podcast. And I was over there trying to, like, get shows booked. I was, like, adding myself to groups, like, messaging people and stuff. Like, I'm using a lot of tactics that I used when I was messing with bands.
Right. And anyone who's thinking about doing this, you can't just go to a show, perform, and think you're going to get booked on another show.
Absolutely not.
You might get someone like, hey, I like what you're doing. Do you want to come on this show?
Sure.
But even then, they don't
follow up. 1 out of 10. Yeah, 1 out of 10, that's going to happen.
So you got to put in a lot of work.
Yeah, so I'm spending a lot of time, like, mapping out where I want to go, options in case that doesn't work out. Like, I'm...
The whole logistics behind it.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Comedy's not just go up and be funny.
Absolutely not.
What tip do you have for anyone who's thinking about doing this? And because it's a business. You're a business yourself. What's a business advice you would give to somebody? Brand new.
Understand that if you want to do this, to pursue it. If you don't want to do it, or if you want to do it part-time, don't really pursue it. So like, I feel like it's a waste of time. You're wasting your time and you're wasting other people's time if you're just like, oh, I'm going to do this, kind of. I feel like if you want to do comedy and you really think you can do it,
you have to dive in.
You have to, like, go in at 100%. I don't think you should try comedy if you're going to do it anything less.
Okay, so what about people with have full-time jobs, have full-time responsibilities, bills, things like that? Obviously, if you're going to do comedy, I'm not saying quit your job and do comedy.
No, I'm not saying that.
But how much of your time, how much effort, like where's the
I
line?
see it as an 8-hour job.
Okay, so if you're doing full-time,
if you're doing full-time, you have 2 full-time jobs if you're pursuing comedy outside of holding another job.
And that's tough for a lot of people when you have just 2 jobs. I think any self-entrepreneur job is harder than working for someone. Because when you work for someone, you clock in at this time,
and you
clock
go
out.
home.
And they tell you what needs to be done, and you do it.
Yeah.
And they teach you how to do it most of the time. Comedy, you're teaching yourself. You're getting some feedback. You're reworking. You don't know what you have to do.
You're learning every day. Mm-hmm. It's just...
So what's the mental strain on that?
There's a lot. I think there's a lot of... Like you said, like, I didn't think comedy was this thing or whatever when I got into it. I just thought it was go up on stage, be funny. That's it. That's all that matters. Mm-hmm. And then I learned quickly that there's so much more. There's networking. There's hanging out with people 5, 6, 7 nights of the week. There's so many different aspects to just doing comedy. That's why I say, instead of like thinking you're going to do it part-time or just for fun or whatever, it quickly becomes something else.
Yeah, definitely. We all hang out at the mics outside.
Yeah.
half the time, the other half time inside, listen to jokes.
Yeah.
Even if you don't go up, I still like to go sometimes just to hang out.
Yeah, a lot of it is just like hanging out and getting to know other people and spending time with them and realizing that you hate their guts.
I'm not gonna say it.
You know,
I'm not gonna say it.
like I hate Chris Springs so much.
It really shows. You guys had a heated argument early, and I think we left it on a good note.
I love that guy so much. He's laughing right now. But no, it's just
because networking is a big thing.
Networking and talking to people and like just getting along. Like you probably realized going on those shows with Adam, it's just like a lot of downtime alone with other people, and you're just like, all right, do I really vibe with this person or do I?
Definitely. I like how Adam keeps being brought up. I think I just might make him my co-host, or I might make him the host, and I'll be the co-host of my own show.
Word.
But no, definitely, like that's the one thing that's cool about Adam. I think our live audience member here is flipping Marcus off.
Wow.
I'm not gonna allow live audience members anymore.
Yeah.
But that's what I like about Adam. He's a pretty cool guy. We just chill,
Yeah.
I've never tried to hang out with him simply to get comedy advice.
Right.
I like hanging out with the dude. It's good to have friends.
Adam's good people.
Yeah, and we hang out and we talk, and then he throws in tidbits, and then we start talking about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, going on a road trip, having someone that you can actually feel comfortable with.
Yeah,
comedy
that's
or
important.
not.
Yeah.
And you're doing this alone. Do you got people in the States you're going to meet up with?
Yeah, I have like friends and family all across, different areas and stuff. Okay. And
so because I'm thinking like I don't have anyone I don't got anyone in any other state. So if I were to do this, I'm really going alone, going to a hotel, going to an open mic, meet people there, and then done.
Yeah, I mean that's the plan. I mean, I'm definitely gonna like spend a few extra days in certain states to like see family and stuff. But I realize now that a lot of it is just gonna be downtime, alone time, a lot of
self-reflection time.
A lot of self-reflection, a lot of listening to shitty emo music.
I'll make sure I have more podcast episodes for you to listen to.
Thanks, buddy. Have some more episodes up that I can listen to on the road.
You have a podcast with Chris.
I do. I have my own podcast too.
You had two, and I think you told me the reason the other one stopped is because you forgot the password.
Yeah, I forget passwords a lot.
I've been meaning to ask you, why did you not do the password reset?
Because I forgot the email's password.
And you couldn't reset that.
So I have
a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, so I have like mental issue. Like I have issues. I wrestled a lot in the backyard. I did some backyard wrestling, and I fell on my head a couple times.
What was your stage name for wrestling?
Mark Havoc.
Mark Havoc?
Yeah.
Mark Havoc.
It was a Davey Havoc rip. Like I was a big AFI fan.
Okay.
Growing up, I was huge into AFI. So like,
yeah, I can see it.
So anyway, I fell on my head a couple of times, and I had some concussions and had some stuff. So sometimes it's hard for me to remember certain things. And passwords are pretty easy to forget.
I reset my password for something at least once a week.
Yeah.
And I generally try to use the same password. I'm in IT, so I know that's not a good idea.
Right.
But come on, it's like you want me to remember 15 characters, an exclamation point at some point, and can't be at the end, can't use this.
Right. All these extra symbols and numbers and shit. It's just
for real, right? For real.
It's a lot sometimes.
So your tour, when do you leave?
11/9.
And then you come back 100 days later, which is
February, end of February.
End of February. Okay. Where's your first stop?
Arizona.
Why'd you pick it?
Because it's the closest place.
Okay. Okay. When you started planning this out, were you like, I'm just gonna go to Arizona, it's closest, or were you like looking like what was your process?
Okay, so when you tour with bands, I don't know why they do it like this, but you want to have each stop within 8 hours of the next one.
That makes a lot of sense.
You want to do that just so you have enough time to do whatever you need to do. You need to do laundry. You need to get something to eat. You need to promote the show. Whatever you need to do, you want to give yourself enough time in between shows. So I made all my stops like 4 to 6 to 8 hours in between each other to try to just save. It's a gas thing, and it's also like
you don't want to be on the road.
I don't want to be on the road for 18 hours in between stops.
And then perform. Dumb. Yeah, that's okay. That's a good plan. That's a good plan.
So my first stop is like 4 hours away.
And where in Arizona is it? Is it booked? Is it booked yet? I want to get to that point. Okay.
Not yet.
So stay tuned, Phoenix people. Or it's I don't know why I said Phoenix.
Tempe. I think Tempe's closer.
Tempe's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, Tempe. You might see Markus Dietz out there.
Word. So I just
Havoc.
added myself to like 4 Arizona groups. So I'm looking for some stuff. So I got a lot of possibilities right now.
Okay, that's really good. Because I'm not at the point yet where I'm ready to be going on shows.
Yeah.
Nothing. I think the most I can do is maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
And it's gonna be. I've done some 10 minutes. My flow is not there yet.
Okay.
To do the full 10 minutes, I think the best I could do is 7.
So I've done a lot of like out of town shows, not necessarily on tour, but I spent like 2 weeks in Minnesota. I was doing a bunch of shows.
And you got an album.
Yeah, I got an album out. San Diego, I did a bunch of shows. LA, Comedy Store, I've done some shows and stuff. So
how, I mean, obviously it's big to get booked on shows. For any new comedian, how big is it to go out of town?
It's important. I think you want to have other audiences see your stuff.
At what point do you think it's? Because obviously you're going to start at the open mics.
Yeah.
You're not going to just get booked at the Jimmy Kimmel Club. You're going to start open mics.
Right. I think you should do open mics for a couple of years at least.
Couple years.
Yeah. I don't know about you. You've been booked on a show, right?
No, I haven't been booked on a legit show. Actually, funny story. I was supposed to be booked on your open mic.
Yes.
Because I won a feature set.
Yes, and then COVID
The
happened.
next day,
Wow.
COVID. I feel like I was set up. I feel like you guys knew this.
Oh, Johnny was the one that got kind of screwed a little bit.
I mean, I'm happy I got chosen.
I'm sorry,
But
buddy.
I'd be happy if I was there.
You did win that.
Because the other guy dropped out or something.
But, so I think I didn't get booked for my first show until about 2 years in.
Yeah, but what about going to open mics in other states? You think that's...
Oh, I think going to open mics in different states is a great idea, and I think you should do it as often as possible.
Okay. You don't... There's...
Because open mics and book shows are 2 totally different games to me.
Definitely. For anybody who's new, obviously, traveling, they don't know where to go.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of Facebook groups, there's a lot of websites that have when open mics are scheduled for.
Yeah.
You're brand new. You're doing this. You're getting advice to go to open mics because yes, new crowds is better.
Yes, always. So I think a lot of that comes with like networking. Like you'll be at an open mic and somebody from California or Oregon or Utah is there to check out the open mic. Just talk to them and be like, "Hey man, I'm thinking about going into your area. What are some open mics I should check out?"
Okay.
And that's a big part of it is networking.
And you're saying that should be as frequent as possible, even if you're brand new.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think you should be going to open mics and trying new material and doing your material forwards, backwards, sideways, whatever you're going to do. I think you should have every opportunity you can possibly have to do your material.
Definitely. And I've heard from other people like you shouldn't because you're not at a I get where you're coming from. You got to put this in the full time. You have to invest in yourself.
Right.
It's going to cost some money if you're going to travel.
Sure.
So if you're new, why are you spending money? Stay local and work on your craft.
Okay.
But you're obviously saying no, you put yourself out there as much as you can.
Absolutely.
Wherever you can.
Absolutely. I think you should. I think the more you do comedy and make yourself uncomfortable and put yourself in uncomfortable situations, the better.
Yeah, and it's good to have different crowds.
Always.
People at different places, because you're going to do your comedy. You've done it here. You do good. You said you were in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
So how did that go, your comedy?
That was good. I did 15 minutes at this little pizza place that had an open mic, and I was like, "Hey, I'm from out of town." They're like, "Cool, you want a feature?" I was like, "Yeah." And the first 3 or 4 minutes while I was getting to know people and letting them get to know me was kind of rough. But once I got into my groove and I got into my stuff that I know works.
Okay, and that's where I was going to get with this, because you've done it here.
Yeah.
You know people like you here. You've done jokes that people have reacted to.
Yes.
One, not everyone's going to like the same jokes you do. People have different tastes, whatever.
Absolutely.
Different regions, things will hit where they don't hit.
Absolutely.
There's no In-N-Out on the East Coast.
Right. They're not going to get that reference.
Exactly. So your material, would you say right now what you have is universal?
Yes. For the most part, I think I have a very open point of view,
Okay.
I guess. And I don't try to be too, like, out of left field or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people can kind of relate to my humor.
It's definitely not something you had to be there kind of humor.
Yeah,
Anyone
it's
can
not
pick up on
for everybody, obviously. There's some people
Nope.
that are just going to be like, oh, wow, that grinder bit's a little far or whatever.
Yeah, but the thing with that is everyone knows what Grindr is.
Exactly.
At least 90% of people do.
Exactly. So people are going to be like, oh, I get the reference. Okay, that's funny.
So
Whatever.
for any new comedian who's writing right now or trying to come up with material,
Yeah. Right?
should they stay in their lane, what they know, what's around their area, or should they challenge themselves right away to think of broad jokes?
I think as an artist and as a comedian, as a writer, you should write what you want to write. But understand that not everything you find funny or you find interesting, other people are going to find. So it's like, it's more relatable and more real if it's something that actually happened to you, and you can turn that funny.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try to exaggerate things too much, or if you like try to add in things that didn't happen just because you think it's going to make the joke more funny, it's not necessarily going to work.
Right. If you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't be talking about it.
Pretty much.
Good words.
Word.
Because I do some jokes where I made it up.
Yeah.
But I'm joking around from, because you sit around with people and you just start joking about riffing on things.
Yes.
What about that?
That's a gray area that I don't really like vibe with too much. Cause like if you're say you're talking in a group of comedians, say you have 4 comedian buddies and you're just bullshitting, and you come up with something and then somebody comes up with a tag, and then somebody else comes up with another tag. It's like, whose joke is it?
Okay, so that's more of a writing session, and that's definitely.
But I mean, like,
Yes.
I have my conversations with Chris where I'll just like, I don't even tell him it's a joke. I'm just like, hey,
And I think those.
and then he's like, oh yeah, that's cool, but what about this? And then like add something to it, and then we got to be like, all right, paper rock scissors, who's taking the joke?
Paper rock scissors. So this could be the joke of a lifetime, and
Right.
you gotta put the faith in. Rock,
Right, and
paper,
we'll just be
scissors.
like, all right, I guess you take that joke, like.
I would try it both out. Like, who does it better? Who can sell it? And they get to keep it.
No, I don't. Because it depends on the crowd too. Because like, what if we did 2 separate sets, the same exact set in front of 2 different crowds, and we would never know if we switched who would do better and whatnot or whatever. So it's just like, oh, I did shitty because my timing was off, and then he got lucky that night because he was feeling good. Like, I don't think you should put yourself in that situation where you're fighting with another comedian over stuff like that.
Definitely not. I think
So it's just like paper, rock, scissors, get it over with. Okay, you can have the joke.
I think if you and I were talking,
Yeah.
and we were joking,
I'd fight you to the death for a
I think
joke.
I would just give it to you.
I would fight you to the death for a joke. I'd be like, fuck you, I wrote that.
I think I could kill you, but
That's cool.
But the thing is, I would just give it to you because if you're asking for the joke, it obviously resonates with you more.
Right.
So
And that's another thing is you got to put into perspective of like who would tell the joke better mentally and emotionally and all around.
Definitely,
because he can joke about stuff I can't joke around about, and I can joke around about stuff he can't joke around
this
about.
is
So it's just
let's not talk about this subject about what. And
Well,
who
no,
can someone joke around.
no. I don't
There's
mean like that. He can make jokes about like having 3 kids, and I can't do that because I don't have kids.
I know. I make jokes about not having kids because I don't have kids.
Right.
I get that. You don't. Like we said it before. You want to talk about things you know.
Yes.
And if you're gonna make up something, it's gotta be, I feel, absurd.
It's gotta be
crazy.
absurd, and that's why some of the the grinder bit works for me because it's like seeing my dad on there is absurd. Like he's married to my mom. You know what I mean?
But he's on. Is he really on Grindr? Like
no,
is this
he's not. No, he's not on
Okay.
Grindr. That's why it works though, because I'm just
But
like.
that could.
But I saw my dad on there, and it fucking made things weird. And that's why it's funny because people are like, "Oh fuck."
Like, is your dad on Grindr? Like, no. I mean, I don't think he is.
I mean, I am, but he's not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that's definitely true. Like, if it's gonna be absurd, it should be funny too. You don't want to make something so absurd,
Right.
so offensive, so crazy that it's not even funny.
Right. And I think the more real something is, the funnier it is usually.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll take a beer. We got a beer guy now too. This podcast is going places. Okay, so you talk about what you know when you write.
Yes.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Okay, you have the grinder, but do you have anything that's really outrageous that's not a true story?
I'm trying to think. I mean,
thank you.
I don't know. Like, there's either if it's not as real as I make it out to be, I've either thought about it. You know what I mean? So
would you ever do more absurd jokes, crazy like that?
It depends. I think some of my stuff is very funny.
I've heard your stuff. You got funny stuff.
Thanks, man.
Some of them it doesn't click with me. But again, not
everyone.
Not
for example, what do you mean? And I'll tell you if that's real or if it's
the toothbrush joke.
That's good. So I was brushing my tongue one time, and I wasn't paying attention. I was just like brushing my teeth just to brush my teeth, and I put it too far back on the tongue, and I was like, oh, that must be what it's like sucking dick.
Okay, so now that
so my brain clicked with that, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a joke.
Okay, so the way you explained it just now is more funnier to me than the way you do it on stage. Because, like, you ever brush your teeth and then you realize you suck dick or whatever?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, not everything clicks with everyone the same way.
Right.
So to me, I was thinking, like, you're brushing your teeth and then you think you suck a dick. Like, you purposely suck it down. But if you're like, you're brushing teeth and I'm on my tongue, next thing you know, I'm deep throwing this thing.
Yeah, I was on accident. Yeah. I was just like, oh, I guess this is what sucking dick's like.
I guess it's weird that it took me that explanation to... Like, I knew kind of, but... Okay, so...
Yeah. So, I don't know. It just depends. Like, I exaggerated that a little bit.
Okay. What about creativity? Obviously, you're writing jokes. If you write about experience, you're going to have stuff there.
Yeah.
You maybe embellish a little bit, whatever.
Yeah.
But what about the absurdity? Like, how do you brainstorm? How do you brainstorm? How do you workshop stuff?
Most of it just comes to me. I have to, like... Sometimes I have to force myself to write a joke.
Do you think that's a good thing?
No.
Okay. So
I think if stuff comes to you naturally and more organically, it feels better.
But you still do the force to what? To get the sparks going at least?
Yeah, because sometimes I'll go, like, I have depression and stuff, and sometimes it's hard to make myself write or come up with a new bit or whatever, and I'll go I'll go like 2 weeks without writing something.
I think I go longer than that sometimes.
For me, that's like a long time. So once I hit a certain point, I'm just like, damn, I haven't written anything in a while. I'll like grab a pen and paper and I'll write 50 things that I want to write jokes about, and then I'll try to write some jokes, and then if that sucks, I'll like, toss them.
I do go sometimes a while without writing something new, but I'm touching up on something old.
Okay. See, that's good. That's fun.
So how often
if
do you
you're always adding tags and stuff, that's good.
I mean, I'm always like, I do my process, and I'm always thinking of something, and I tell it to myself a different way.
Yeah.
And I edit stuff. I'm like, oh, you know what? I like this better.
I don't do that. I tell a joke one time, and if it gets like a group of people laughing, I'll be like, okay, that's the joke.
So one and done.
And done.
If this joke does not hit, I'm not going back to it. I'm not redoing it. I'm not adding tags.
I mean, I will. Okay, when it works, I'm done with it. Like toothbrushes. I told toothbrushes maybe twice. It got regular laughs, and I was like, okay, this is one of my regular jokes. And then if I tell a joke and it doesn't get laughs, I'll be like, oh, maybe it's just this mic and I was having an off night. I'll try it again. Okay. And if it doesn't work a second time at a mic with a different crowd, I'm like, okay, maybe I should abandon that joke.
Okay, so you do it once, it fails. Yeah. You do it again as a whatever.
Yeah. I try it the same exact way, the same nuance, the same timing, everything like that. If it doesn't work, I give up on the joke.
Completely. You'll never go back to it in a year or two.
Never try it again.
Wow. Wow.
Because I feel like I know my comedic voice. I know my styling. I know what works for me and what kind of doesn't. And if I'm writing a bit and it doesn't work for me twice in a row, then it's not for me.
Okay. You have your joke about the NDA, about a famous person. I remember when you were about to do the joke for the first time, you're like, I don't do this joke because I don't like it. It doesn't work. But then you did it, and we're like, oh, we like it. So what about those?
Wait,
jokes?
what joke was this?
The one about the you working as an exterminator.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So what about that one? Because I mean, I remember. Maybe I misheard you, or I don't remember correctly. Whatever. But you said like, I didn't like it. Whatever, didn't really work.
Oh, I didn't like telling stories.
Oh,
for
so
like
you
the
just
longest,
you just didn't like telling stories.
For the longest time, like I'm a one-liner comic, and that's always kind of been what I've been comfortable with, and I've kind of made myself. I watched Ralphie May did a Vimeo video where he taught a class.
Okay.
For like an hour. There's like an hour or 10 minutes or whatever of Ralphie like teaching people shit, and he's like, you have to give yourself a point system. So if you go to a mic and you tell a joke, you get 1 point. If you add a tag, you get 2 points. If you change the order in which you tell that joke, you get 2 more points and stuff like that. So he made this point system of how he works on his bits. And that gave me an idea to like, maybe I should try telling longer stories to see if I can turn one-liners into longer bits.
You know, I've tried to write one-liners, and I caught myself expanding on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I just want to do something quick and easy. You know, I want some. If I'm ever like in a pinch, or if I just need more time, or I don't have that much time, just something I can bang out. But I catch myself expanding. Yes. And I don't want to stop because I've expanded. Right. So you're going from one-liners, because you got those. I've heard those. You got the. I won't talk about your material no more, but you got them. So now you're going to stories.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to do longer stories, longer jokes, longer bits. Okay. And just kind of see how that works. And the weird thing about like that particular joke is every time I've done it, it's worked.
It's a very good joke. I don't want to talk about your jokes because I want to save your jokes because they're your jokes for when you do your show. Right. But definitely go see him when he performs. Thanks. Yeah, definitely go see him. Okay. Do you have any news stories?
Yeah, were you there at Dive last week?
This Monday? Past Monday? Yeah. I was there. I got there late, but I got there right before your set.
You're right. You went, yeah. So those first 2 jokes.
Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln and the Mormon. I do the Mormon thing to like tie into because I gotta have like a reason why I'm reading the Bible. That's true. So that Mormon and Abraham Lincoln bit are pretty brand new.
So when you're writing because you're working on stories now, longer stories. Yeah. Is there anything do you feel that it's off topic for you or should be off topic for anyone or?
No, I don't believe that people should censor themselves if they want to talk about here's the thing. If you can make something funny, do it. Yeah. Okay? But you have to understand that sometimes your opinion's going to piss people off. And also, sometimes you're just not funny. So,
and I have a joke a bit about that, actually. Like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. You know, but be funny.
Yeah, but just be funny when you do it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, tell the fucking rape joke if that's what you want to do, but
be funny.
Be funny when you do it.
Don't want to get jumped at the end.
Right. Like, if you're going to say the N-word, like, you got to be really funny. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like...
Or not white.
Or never say that word. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... So when it comes to content, I don't think you should ever stifle yourself or censor yourself or whatever. But, like, if you know beforehand that your bit's going to annoy somebody or piss somebody off or make them think a certain way, you have to be funny when you tell that joke.
Do you have anything that's like that?
I have absolutely no jokes that would offend anybody ever.
None. None at all.
Not that I can think of. Do I have anything that offends you?
No. On stage? No. Oh. The shit you say off stage?
Oh, would I call everybody a faggot?
I do not condone this.
Okay.
I'm just going to say this right now. I don't want people attacking me. You can follow him on Instagram and message him. If you want.
Okay. No,
but like, I know when you say it. Yeah. And here's the thing with anything. You say something. Yeah. You don't say it negatively.
Absolutely not.
I hope you're not saying it, but people can misconstrue it.
I've also sucked enough dick that I can say faggot.
Okay, so you earned your card.
Yeah,
Earned your F
I've
word
earned
card.
I've earned my F word card.
Cool.
I think.
I think. Is
I
there a
think.
limit?
Let me ask the
Let me check the card.
Let me ask the 17 dudes I've blown.
Oh, dude, it's 20. You almost got there.
Oh shit! I guess I haven't earned my.
You can say fact, but don't use the hard. Don't use the GOT.
Yeah, don't use. Okay, I gotta get it re-upped. So it is what it is.
All right. So I mean,
Don't ever censor your shit. Don't feel like you can't talk about a certain thing.
Okay, here's the thing with this. Because I've been hearing advice and stuff, and this happened recently with another comic at an open mic. He has his style.
Let me ask: were they funny?
He has his style, right?
There you go. That answers it.
No, this person is funny. I find him funny. I wasn't there the nights he was doing his open mic. It was my first time there.
Okay.
But apparently they're not fond of his particular jokes.
Okay.
Now from my understanding, they did not hear the entire joke.
Okay.
But they presumed it as a rape joke.
Oh.
But it's not.
Okay.
If you listen to the whole thing, it's not.
Okay.
It is a little weird, but it's not a rape.
Okay.
Okay. So you don't want to censor yourself, but when you're getting booked on shows, sometimes they're like, "Hey, only clean material.
Sure.
Don't do this."
You have to respect that, and that's part of like the business side of comedy too. Mm-hmm. Is like you have to have. I think when I was starting, everybody was talking about how you have to have. Excuse me. You got to have 5 minutes or 7 minutes of clean material, and that's completely clean. That's like TV clean. Like you got to have stuff that you can go on daytime, ABC, and tell those jokes.
Do you have that much?
Absolutely.
I've actually heard your stuff like plenty of times. I think Grinder.
Here's the
the toothbrush probably the dirtiest it goes.
That's as dirty as my bits go, and I think
so that's two.
And I can clean those up to where they're not as bad. Do I have another one?
Our audience member has
which other one is bad?
It's exclusive to Goldmine.
Okay.
How about you going camping?
Going camping.
Your cousin?
Oh yeah. Where I end it with fucking his dog. Yeah. So sure. I forgot about that one. I haven't done that one in a while. But yeah, so I have material that is like bar material and stuff, and I have because that was a big thing when I was starting. Is everybody's like, you got to have like 6-7 minutes of straight up clean material. So I never wanted to do that. But I realized that was part of this business. And that was part of like, if I want to get booked and I want to get booked at certain places, they want a certain type of material.
Right. You don't want to limit yourself because you don't want to do that material.
Right.
Because you're not going to get booked in certain higher places.
Right.
Because that particular comedian, he was a little upset that they're trying to tell him what he can't do. And he's like, no, this is me. This is what I do. This is my style.
Right.
So but we had to talk and we're like, you're right. Like, do I want to do bar shows the rest of my life? Or do I want to maybe one day sell an arena?
Exactly.
And be on, TV.
And there's certain people that have done whatever they have to do to get to the point where it doesn't matter what type of material they're going to do. They're going to keep getting bookings because they have such a strong fan base and they've earned that.
Right. And
you know what I mean?
The times are different now.
Yeah.
There's so much you can't really say.
Right.
But you can still get away with it if you're funny.
That's the thing. You can
like Dave Chappelle's his special, and he just starts talking about the rape jokes of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
The only reason why that worked is because of how funny Dave Chappelle is.
Exactly.
If anybody else who wasn't as funny tried to do those bits, they'd have got booed out of there.
They probably would have. They might have gotten a laugh, but they would have been like, no, dude, don't.
No,
like, I don't know.
He would have got the light. If it was somebody else, they would have been like somebody in the back, like, get off the fucking stage. So
definitely be funny.
So that's the only advice I'll give people is if you're going to do shit that might offend somebody or might make them guffaw or whatever, just make sure it's funny.
Make sure it's funny.
Yes.
That's your advice.
That's it.
I never would have thought that to give out to anyone trying to be a comedian.
I can't give you any other advice. I want to tell everybody who wants to try comedy to never try it.
It's been said plenty of times, but
sure.
But they're gonna not listen because people like to not listen. Hopefully,
people are idiots.
Hopefully, you listen to the part about being funny.
I think the 4 years of comedy have been the worst 4 years of my life, if I'm being completely honest.
Hopefully, year 5 is different.
Yeah, maybe maybe the 5th year will be great.
But definitely being funny is a thing I think that honestly gets overlooked because you're thinking about your material what makes you laugh, and you forget that. Yes,
you're not your audience.
Yeah, you definitely want to be funny to yourself, and you like what you like.
Yes.
But you gotta remember they have to laugh too.
Yes.
Like I want one particular joke. I told I'd done it. It's my Plan B joke.
Yes.
When I was practicing, I told it to a friend, and she's like, "I don't want to laugh, but I want to laugh,
right?
Because it's partially offensive."
Right.
And I had someone who went through that similarly.
Right.
So obviously, I think I got the green light because she still laughs, even though they don't want to. So you want to make sure if it's funny to you, great.
Yeah.
But is it funny to everybody else?
Like I used to, the first 2 or 3 years that I did comedy, I would try to make other comics laugh.
And I've heard don't do that.
And that was just like me being like, they're my friends.
You want to be accepted? You want to be in a social circle?
Yeah, exactly. But then I woke up and I was like, you know what, man? Like, I want to make audiences laugh. I don't care about the 5 guys in the back of the room.
Right.
We can joke about shit later while we're having a drink or whatever.
Yeah,
But I get my 6 minutes to be on this stage. I want the majority of the room to laugh.
Because that's who's going to come back.
Exactly.
That's who's going to buy a ticket.
There's so many people that I've been at Rebar and they were like, oh shit, it's that one guy. You know what I mean? And it's like return customer.
It's definitely nice when you hear someone say, hey, you were funny, and it wasn't a comedian friend.
Right. I would weigh...
Not that I don't value you saying I'm funny, but...
Exactly. I enjoy when comics like my stuff, but it feels so much better if a random person's just like, hey, oh my God, you're so funny. I'm glad I came out tonight.
Definitely. You know, like, okay, it's working.
Yes.
Like, you hear people laugh. Cool.
Yeah.
But when they tell you, like, hey, you were hilarious. Like,
that's the best feeling.
So much better.
It's the best feeling.
It's like a hug.
Yes. Which I won't be giving out anymore.
No? Cool.
I'm just kidding. I'll hug you after.
COVID, 6 feet, man.
Oh. Well, I mean, we're way closer than 6 feet right now.
6 inches? I don't know. I'll take a hug. All right, so you gotta be funny.
Yes.
Like, it's really hard for anyone to pick up on that.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have to pick up on that? Obviously, the crowd laughs.
Sure.
But some people ignore that. When they don't laugh, they ignore it, and they're just thinking like, "Oh, you don't get it."
Maybe I should double down.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with double down. You know, sometimes you gotta take that plunge. If it's gonna be something offensive and mean, you have to go all out. If you hold back, you're gonna lose it. You're not gonna sell it. But there's some people who don't generally pick up that it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
It's not funny at all, but they don't pick up on it and they blame the crowd.
I hate that.
And then, so how do you tell someone?
Those people should
remember?
Stop doing comedy.
Really, altogether.
So
for a newbie out there.
So if you're, hey, listen, Chris is flipping me off right now. But like, if you go and you tell a joke and it doesn't work, and you're like, okay, maybe it's just this crowd, and you go and
it could be,
sure, but you go.
Hold on.
All right,
I've never said, a crowd is the reason why this joke didn't work.
Okay.
I always put it on myself.
I never said this about Chris. I don't know why Chris is assuming I'm talking about him.
Hey, save the fighting for your podcast.
Yeah, hold on. So here's my thing. If you go and do comedy one time.
Why are you looking at me now?
Okay, fuck it. So if you go and do comedy and you get 0 laughs, like no laughs, no reaction, think about why that happened and make any adjustments you think you need to make, and then go and do that same exact set in front of a different crowd. And if the second group of people don't laugh, maybe you shouldn't tell those jokes.
You know, definitely. And there's factors that why no one laughed.
Sure.
I did a show particularly when I wear a mask.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I had trouble breathing in that thing and telling a joke because when you're talking, you can breathe in as you're talking.
Yeah.
So all I do was talking. I felt like it was just blah 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 fast as I could.
Okay.
So they couldn't really process what I was saying.
So there was a reason why it was difficult for you.
So
I'm saying if you go into an open mic and there's a packed room, and you go up there and you tell like a rape joke, and it doesn't work.
Analyze
It's probably not the crowd's fault that didn't work. It might be because you're not funny.
Don't do a rape joke in a rape victim place.
Right.
So there's obvious signs
Yeah,
when you shouldn't do
there's
it.
definitely places and times for certain jokes.
But definitely analyze what you just
read
said.
the room a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And if it's not going well, like I
Right.
can understand you double down because sometimes you have to.
No, I get it.
But
double down, sure.
I mean, if it's something like rape and they're not even like
Right. If you're not
No.
getting like, if you're not getting groans, if you're not even getting groans.
I like groans. I like when I do the ones I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, if you're not getting a guy in the back going, oh fuck, like if you're not getting that, then you probably
no.
should not be telling this joke because like
Time to segue away.
right, it must really suck if you're not getting any reaction.
So
I would rather get some sort of reaction where it's like, oh fuck, did he just say that? Like, okay, so I was at LA Comedy Club.
okay.
Very first time I did LA Comedy Club, it took me like 2.5 years to finally do that club. And I did LA Comedy Club, and I did my toothbrushes joke, and this dude sitting right next to his girlfriend with like his arm around her was like, oh shit. And I was like, I stopped for a second. I was like, hey man, what's up? You don't brush your teeth or what? And like he got like super uncomfortable.
Yeah, that thought too.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh man, that guy's a closeted homo. Like, that's all it is. You know what I mean? It's like
I just had an epiphany.
yeah, he just realized he didn't love his girlfriend. Like,
This is why we've only been dating for 10 years.
right? You know, so it's just like, if you don't get any reaction, if you get stone cold nothing, no reaction, maybe you're just not funny. And maybe you should just try a different type of joke or quit comedy because you're not funny.
I would start with do a different type of joke before
Try
you
that.
quit. You know?
I mean, there's options. That's why I'm
Yes.
giving you options. Like, there's 2 or 3 options. Like, try it in a different way, or maybe do a voice, or like play a guitar while you're telling your rape joke.
yeah,
you
you
know,
have to-
like maybe use a Muppet. You know, just like however you're
Figure it
gonna.
out.
Yeah,
Just
figure it out. Just try to be funny.
If you're not funny, figure out why you're not funny.
Yes.
Get feedback, get advice.
Yeah, figure it out.
Try it differently.
Ask another comic, be like, "Hey, why did that joke suck?" And they'll probably tell you.
They will tell you if you ask.
They will
tell you
absolutely
if you
probably
ask.
tell you why that joke sucked.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got told not to do my N-word joke, but
Hell
I don't.
yeah.
And I don't even say the N-word.
Was it a black person?
No, when I tell it to like when I tell it to my black friends and stuff, because I know it's a sensitive subject.
Yeah.
You know, but okay. Everyone
So
says
is the
word.
joke funny?
When I get to the final, yes.
Okay.
I've been told like that's funny.
That's
I
all
like
that
it.
matters.
But I've been told by people don't do the joke.
And I'm sure you'll have people like you'll have N-words tell you.
I don't even say. So it's been great having you on this show, bro. Any final advice you
No,
want to
I can't breathe right now.
All right, thanks for being on the show. You do comedy for now. We'll see how long that lasts. Thank you guys. Goodbye.
Oh my god, fuck you, Marcus. I fucking hate you. That's so fucking funny. Oh man. You fucking asshole. I hate you both. I hate both of you guys.
Why?
So
Why do you
much.
hate me?
Because you guys kept looking at me, you assholes. I'm like,
You were-
why?
I was-
Why is every time they go, just be funny? You guys are literally looking at me like,